from the beginning, because of all the encouragement and support I've gotten from other members of the American Mead Makers Association, it's always been intended as a fundraiser for the AMMA. So 50 cents from every 50 cents from every copy that's sold will be directed or donated to the general fund for the AMMA. So it's also a fundraiser for the AMMA.
Nice. I like that it's kind of a mead Bible, that, it talks about the different types of mead. It talks about, the handling of mead and storage of mead, as well as the pairing of mead. You're right. Those are questions that people have all the time, and there really hasn't been a lot of, there really hasn't been a framework around that, Yeah.
I think it's time there was.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, what did you come up with for the recipes? Is there just one recipe per mead? Is there multiple recipes? Or how did you go about doing that?
Well, the hard thing was narrowing my list of recipes down to something that could actually go in the book. So, this easily could have been like several volumes. And in fact, I look forward to a future world in which, there's like a whole book on pairing Chinese food with mead, and a whole book on pairing Japanese food with mead, and a whole book on pairing food with, melomels. But this is the first one, so this is not that whole set of books. And to make it something that wouldn't cost $100 a copy, it really had to be 335 pages or less. And when I just started, doing the math and figuring out how much space every recipe was going to take and how much space every photograph was going to take, there's only room in the book for 60 recipes, and I had a hell of a time narrowing it down.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of the other recipes that didn't make the cut are on the book's Facebook page.
Okay.
But
so
there are there's a number of meat recipes, of course, poultry, seafood, beef, many different meats. But there's also a large number of vegetarian and vegan foods. For instance, there's a silken tofu and spicy red coconut sauce paired with a mango mead. There's a lot of gluten-free recipes. Today for lunch I made saffron asparagus risotto, and that was paired with a rapeseed traditional mead from Sweden, but that was really good. There's appetizers, there's one-pot meals, there's things you can cook on a weeknight, there's fancy showstopper meals like beef Wellington, stuff you can take to a party. So there's really all kinds of recipes, and so I took that into account, choosing which recipes go in the book, that kind of almost no matter what you want to do, whether it's a weeknight meal or a special occasion meal or something to take to a potluck with a bottle of mead, that there's a recipe in there for everything.
Nice. I like that.
But I think I'm just getting started, because I could do 600 recipes with pairings and not run out of material.
Well, see, this is where you could do the... Go ahead, I'm sorry, AJ.
I guess you'll be getting started on Volume 2 as soon as Volume 1's out the door.
Maybe, I don't know.
You could always just set up a membership spot on the website, and people who buy the book can get a discounted membership and then get access to the rest of the recipes and pairings.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, give me a call. We'll talk about it. But
I'm even thinking. So, my husband is kind of thinking that he'd like to spend some time in Europe just traveling, and I'm thinking, there's upwards of 25 meaderies in the British Isles now.
Yep.
There's upwards of 20 in Spain. There's upwards of 20 in France. There's at least 10 each in Italy and Germany. I'm thinking, you know what? That would work for me.
And it's tax deductible.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
For now, I just want to get this book out.
Yeah, I hear you. So, what you're posting stuff on the Facebook page then? So this is the things that either didn't make it into the book or that you're coming up with as you go?
Yeah, so the Facebook page, and it's easy to find. So if you're on Facebook, you just type mead and food in the search field, and it comes right up, and you can like the page. But I'm posting stuff not quite every day, but almost every day. Some of it is excerpts from the book. So like some of it is just stuff to read or little short tips. Some of it is a profile of a particular mead product. Some of it is recipes. There's just a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the recipes are in the book, and some of the recipes are like bonus recipes that I just didn't have space for in the book.
Nice. So where?
And there's lots of pictures. Cool.
I can't wait to see this. Is it going to be a regular hardback or coffee table book?
Yeah, it'll be a regular hardback. It's about 8 inches wide and 9 inches tall, so
okay.
Small enough that it's kind of the same size as your, big hardcover cookbooks, not like a giant coffee table book that you would never take in the kitchen, because I think this book should live in the kitchen.
Yeah. You'll have to hook you up with somebody so you can create an app that people can, download with all the recipes in it.
That'd be awesome, because I have no clue how to do that. So I'm all in if somebody wants to get in on that.
Well, there's people who do that stuff. It's not me. I don't know how, but I know that there's a website called Nom Nom Paleo, which is a paleo recipe website, and the lady is very imaginative, makes amazing recipes, and started posting them all, and eventually she collected them all into a book. And then she also put them into an app that you could download on your iPad, and so it's like a portable cookbook. It's pretty awesome. But so
that does sound cool.
Yeah, it is. When do you expect it to start going to press?
About the end of this year. So I was trying to have it ready for selling at Christmas, and it may be theoretically possible. I may just pull it off, but at this point I'm thinking maybe early 2017 to be on the shelf.
Okay.
I may just miss Christmas.
Yeah, well, it's still, that in time for the Mazer Cup. That's it.
Definitely in time for Mazer Cup. I think even the worst case scenario, it'll have a table at Mazer Cup.
Okay, cool.
So Chrissie, Hamish here. How are you?
Hey.
My question for you would be, if you're trying to pair something up, what is the absolute biggest mistake you could make?
Oh, what a great question. I think the biggest mistake I have made to date pairing meads and all of the hundreds of combinations that I've done is trying to put a capsamel with spicy food or a high alcohol mead with spicy food. That just doesn't work. And then when I started reading about it, there's all kinds of stuff out on the web about don't pair distilled spirits with hot spicy food for the same kinds of reasons. It really amplifies in a bad way. Like you just sweat and your mouth burns and you can't taste the food anymore. So if you're serving hot spicy food, something with a lot of chili peppers in it, you want both a cold temperature mead and something with a really light, sweet flavor, like a mango session mead, for example. And conversely, if you've got a hot, spicy capsamel, and there are a lot of really great ones out there now, you don't want to put those with something spicy. You want to put them with something creamy or sweet. So like a dark chocolate, like just a plain dark chocolate bar with a sweet capsamel is a terrific pairing. Or something like chocolate ice cream with a capsamel is a terrific pairing. But definitely don't put hot with hot.
So we should be looking more at contrasts when having a guess.
Well, with hot, spicy things, definitely, yes. But you don't always have to look at contrasts. So, for example, the saffron asparagus risotto I made for lunch today, I paired with Mjodhamnen's traditional mead. That's a Swedish meadery, but their meads are imported by Shelton Brothers, and they're available nationwide. And it has a really soft, creamy mouthfeel, and that soft, creamy, like not acidic mouthfeel actually mirrors and amplifies the saffron risotto, and that works in a good way. So you don't always have to contrast. But really the two, I mean, it's a great question. So the two main strategies are either to mirror and amplify a flavor that's either already in the mead or already in the food, or to contrast.
Oh, thank you.
So often, just because most people have a relatively small number of meads to choose from, in general, I think for the next 5 years or so at least, people are going to be starting with the mead and then trying to choose a food to go with it. And there are a lot of flavor combinations suggested in the book. So some of that was inspired by a cookbook that was put out about 20 years ago called Culinary Artistry. So like, for instance, if you have a cranberry mead, some of the flavors that work well with cranberries will work well with the cranberry mead, like apples and walnuts and turkey and those kinds of things. And so they'll work well with the cranberry mead as well.
Yeah, I've always found for the same reason that pork seems to go with whatever meat I've got handy.
Yeah. Pork and lamb are particularly mead friendly. It almost doesn't matter what kind of mead it is. And I think for seafood the same is true with salmon and scallops. They're just I think they've got a lot of honey-like flavors in them, and so it seems to marry well with mead.
Do you have any? Is there anything in the book that deals with cooking with mead? Because that's another thing that I see a lot happening with.
Yeah, I ended up cutting that chapter just because I didn't have space for it, but it's kind of worked in more subtly throughout. So, in many recipes, you use a glass of wine as a deglazer at some stage during the preparation. And of course, you can replace wine or beer in any recipe with mead. And in many cases, it adds these nice honey flavors or fruit flavors that you wouldn't get from wine or beer. And often you avoid adding the bitterness that the tannins in wine or the hops in beer add. And sometimes you don't want that bitterness in what you're cooking.
I make a lamb risotto dinner that I add mead to. So that was something that I'll send you the recipe. It's really easy, but it's just it made me think about it because somebody was asking me, what kind of wine do I put in this? I'm going, well, actually, I had mead.
Yeah. So
you were saying, go ahead.
I don't remember what I was saying, but you made me think of something else. So another way to think about pairing is to think about things that it would be nice to drizzle honey on. So, like, the perfect example of this is a hot slice of buttered cornbread, right? And like drizzling honey on top of that is like the perfect finish for it, right?
Right.
So you can take the flavors of corn and butter, and instead of putting honey on it, you pair it with mead. So, for example, polenta is cornmeal, right? And it's almost always made with butter, and it's almost always got onions in it to add a little sweetness, and all of those are very mead-friendly ingredients because they're honey-friendly. So anything polenta, or for example, like fish tacos in a corn taco shell instead of in a wheat taco shell, like the corn is this bridge that makes it work well with mead every time.
Now you got me thinking about shrimp and grits. And
shrimp and grits, exactly. And shrimp is very mead friendly. So if I was going to do shrimp and grits, I'd be thinking, like, when you do that, you might finish it with a squeeze of lemon on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, instead of that, you could do